Okay then, Bob, so if we look at these two swings here now one of them is a hybrid, one of them's an iron. Obviously we're looking at some slightly smaller swings there with that club, but if the blue line here represents the sort of shaft line and the hands line, previously your club went back there, you kind of sort of picked it up quite steep on this way, on the takeaway, club be going back quite high, getting quite vertical there in terms of that backswing. I mean, that backswing there is quite steep. Now unless you kind of rerouted the club underneath on the way back, which most people aren't going to do very successfully, you're going to be then coming down a little bit steeper, that right shoulder now kind of lunging forward a little bit. A lot of that will come when you get more tense as well. This right shoulder gets tight, if the grip gets a bit tight, we tend to see this sort of this lunging over the top, which will encourage the path into the golf ball, different colour, more into that way, which could create that kind of, that sort of, that kind of shape of shot to the right there, or just straight pulls left if you actually use your hands effectively. Okay, now then, as that club is coming down a lot steeper here outside the golf ball, okay, you watch your head now, looking at the yellow line on the screen, just watch your head movement here now as you come back to impact the case, like a little look, just pop up at the shot there to try and give yourself a little bit more space. Now if I stay there now on this, but I'm going to go whoop, that's going to hit the ground quite quickly, so just a little bit of a clear about the shot, just extend a bit early to recover the club and hit a reasonable strike, and you kind of got aware of where that's going to be. Now this on the right hand side, as I say, a little bit more underneath, but for me the hand path is really good. So your hands are working up that blue line really nice. The club is a little bit inside, which is fine. I'd rather see that though than the outside too much. Okay, the hands now working up that blue line, and that club now working a lot more kind of underneath plane in a better angle there. Okay, so your hands working nicely. Now as we start coming back down, your club halfway back here, if we look at these sort of two downswing positions here now, alright, so if I get the next one down here now, look where your hands are in relation to your torso and your chest there, look where they are there. Now if that was with a wedge or a 9-iron, you could be kind of, okay, it's not too bad, but that's with a 3 wood or a 5 hybrid. This is like a 7 or 8 iron. So in theory, this should be the more upright swing compared to this one. This is very, very, very kind of steep there in the golf ball. Okay, that's kind of the path we should be going on now. You see the club now is more in line with your right forearm, whereas that's your forearm there, that's your forearm there. This is a much more efficient angle between the golf club into the golf ball. Okay, what we're seeing now as you come back in the golf, with the hands working down that plane line again nicely, that's sort of just like popping back about the shot just a little bit, but at least that club now is attacking that golf ball from the inside, and we get a nice kind of strike of that golf ball here. It's a little bit thin, as we said, because you're just not used to that angle of the club coming into the golf ball from there. Whereas this one, a bit more outside the line, kind of a little bit steeper, so just popping up at the shot to try and recover it. And then you hit some reasonable shots, but they were a bit cutty. And if that gets a little bit more and more extreme, when the pressure starts building up, okay, or a medal, or it's just not going very well, and we sort of get a bit anxious on the golf course, then the shots become progressively worse. You're getting bigger pulls and bigger slices, okay? As you said, you kind of seem or feel more comfortable seeing kind of that type of ball flight where you want to see a draw, and that's when you said yourself you feel like you're swinging your best when you're drawing the golf ball, okay? This swing on the right-hand side now is probably a little bit more behind and underneath than you're used to, hence why you're catching it a little bit thin. Generally speaking, if you're too flat or behind you, your club's going a little bit too shallow and up. If you're too steep, you're coming down quite steep on the golf ball, you'll tend to cut it or slice it, okay? So it's getting that club working better. I say the hip movement's going to help that, okay? You watch your right hip there now. That's a really, really good movement there in terms of that right hip there now. Clearing back, you see your belt buckle working back there nicely, okay? Compared to this one here now. That right hip's sort of sliding up, that left leg is sort of moving a bit, sort of sticking out a little bit, and it's just more of a general kind of pick up and slide. You see it a lot easier from obviously face on, because you see that hip sliding into that wall there, so to speak. Okay, so we can get this right hip, as we said, the right hip's going to move around on the way back. It then moves back towards target and then moves back around on the way through. Kind of in the same way, if I said to you pick up a ball and throw it, you'd probably turn your body to the target you were thrown towards. So if you're back here kind of throwing it, then you kind of step into the target and then just spin your arm through with you. So that same kind of, you wouldn't throw a ball and go slide up here and then try and manipulate your hands. But the problem is a lot of these movements are made, I think, by the not physical limitations, but the physicality in terms of what your hip was going to be able to take, and you were sort of just moving away from that hip on the way back, I think. So that kind of makes sense in terms of the swing here, yes? So just to try and work on that slightly more flat and more around, that's going to work around you more with this hip moving around this way, okay? Turn that hip better, do that exercise up against the wall there. Just get some space created from the wall. That moves a little bit towards and it moves back and around, and then we can start moving the lower half and just training your brain to go, okay, this hip can do this work now. We know it can do it. It's just doing it at speed and confidence with that, okay? Make sense? Right. Good.